firstly, what is NISP?
NISP stands for National Innovation and Startup Policy. Your faculty knows about it, your staff knows about it, your student knows about it.
Colleges are not companies to get the shares and royalty, but how the structures work out. Hello everyone, welcome back to Vishnu podcast and I am your host Harshita. Today we have a very special guest returning back to the show, Dr.M.K. Kaushik sir, Director of Innovation and Entrepreneurship for SVS and CEO of Vishnu Foundation TBI. Today he is going to share about National Innovation and Startup Policies. Welcome back to Vishnu podcast sir.
Thank you, Harshita.
So firstly, what is NISP?
NISP stands for National Innovation and Startup Policy, which AICT and Ministry of Education, they have come up to create this innovation and entrepreneurship ecosystem in the higher educational institutes in 2019. The policy mainly talks about how can we create the ecosystem for the students, even for the faculty. Why NISP has come, right? Even country has some aspirations to become this in next 5 years or to become this in next 10 years. So the Indian leadership has thought that in order to become developed nation, right? So our target is by 2047 we should be a developed nation. The main driver to become developed nation is your economy. So the short term target which they kept for themselves is to become $5 trillion economy in next 3 years. At least by 27 or 28 we should be having $5 trillion economy, so that we are the third largest economic country, and by 2047 it should be $30 trillion economy. Now how can we become this $1 trillion economy, or whatever targets we have set for ourselves? Number one is the citizens of this nation should be skilled in such a way they are producing the products here and we are using those products, and our economy flows in this nation. In order to do that, the innovation ecosystem should be very strong. In order to have good innovation ecosystem, design thinking ecosystem should be good. So NISP talks about bringing this design thinking, innovation ecosystem, and then to support student and faculty startups, and what kind of policies should be in place, because nobody knows. Higher educational institutions, they have this academic background, but they don't have this innovation and entrepreneurship background, and they don't know what to do. Suppose if a student comes up and says that I want to start a startup, if a faculty comes and says that myself and students want to start a startup, there is no policy around. So in 2017, government decided to bring that level of economy to the country, to do our products and to sell our products not only in our nation, to the outside countries also, to increase the economy. They have said innovation and entrepreneurship ecosystem is very important, and at the same time our citizens like students and faculty should know about all these things, and hence policy has come. Every college has to follow this NISP. It should be uploaded on their website and it should be followed stringently to build this ecosystem.
So what are the key objectives of this National Innovation and Startup Policies?
So the objectives are, as I told, suppose a student wants to start a startup. What kind of benefits we give? Because he's not doing his academics only. He's getting himself outside and he wants to do a startup. So what kind of support can we give? So what policy says is, usually I think 60% or 70% is the attendance criteria 75% is the attendance criteria for all engineering students or any undergraduate students. Now what policy says is, if the student is willing to start a startup and he doesn't have 75% attendance, you should allow him for the exams, because he is working on his startup. If that startups get successful, it is good for the nation, right? It creates job. Startup is not only economy, it creates the jobs also, which is very much required. Okay, so this is one of the rule. One of the policies says that if you don't have 75% attendance, there will be one committee in every institution. That committee, this case has to be put up to the committee, and committee decides that though he doesn't have attendance, but he is working on his startup, allow him for the exams. Number 2, college has to keep innovation fund of 1%. Whatever this they do, yearly financials are there, no? Suppose they are spending 100 rupees for all the activities. 10 rupees should be kept for innovation fund. In this innovation fund, if any students come with an idea, and if the committee decides they have potential, then they should give them innovation fund, and they have to support them in registering their startup, and they have to support them in like legal activities. They have to support them in accounts and finances, because every college has accounts and finance team. Every college will be having legal team. All these facilities should be given to the student, so that we are supporting him end to end, from registering his startup, giving him fund, giving him access to the facilities in the college. It can be mentoring, it can be lab facility, it can be all these legal and accounts. Everything should be given to a student startup who wants to do. This is the support which they wanted to do. Number 3, you have all these major projects, seminars and all, right? And it has some credits.
Yes, sir.
Suppose a student is starting a startup, right? His startup can be shown as a major project. He need not to do another project for his academic level. So whatever startup he is doing, that can be shown as a major project, and the credit should be given to that. He can submit thesis on his startup only. This is very, very important policy point which NISP says. So this is at the level of project. So all these things, why they are bringing this? Because student or faculty should be supported for all these things. Then only they can focus on the startup. If you tell you have to maintain 75% attendance, you have to do a startup, means it is very difficult for him, because he cannot focus on it. And if there is no support for him, then monetary support or all these extra supports, then also he can fail. Usually we have 5% success rate in startup ecosystem. If these supports are also not given, it will drop down to 1%. We need to increase the success rate of 5% to 10% at least. In order to do that to a student who doesn't have knowledge, these are the facilities which need to be given. And it's not that only college A. Suppose a startup comes from college A, he has to do his startup only with those college students. No. He can take any other college students from any other state and then form a startup. We should support them. So likewise, there are many things for students, right? And then if they want to register their patent or any intellectual property, then also college has to support. And also there is one more point. Suppose he is starting a startup and he wants to spend more time, he should be accommodated in hostel. That's the kind of support which they are giving. And if he wants to start a startup, he can utilize the space in campus and he can register his startup on that particular address. We have to support them to that level. So these are the important points which every student has to know when they want to start a startup. With all these supports, obviously the success rate of the startup will increase and student can focus. And if they want support from faculty, yes, faculty can be taken as mentors. Faculty can be taken as consultants. Even faculty and student startups are allowed. Combinedly, yes. Suppose, see, what is this startup? There are directors in the startup and there are equity in the startup, shares, Yeah. So, any student and faculty, suppose, student and faculty wants to start a startup, yes, they can start. Both of them can be directors in the company. Both of them can have shares in the company. Otherwise, two faculty want to start a startup, only faculty startup, that is also possible. As an HEI, Higher Education Institute, they have to support. If two faculty comes up and says that we want to start a startup, yes, they should be allowed that, right? And faculty from other college and faculty from this college also can start a startup. There is no barrier. Because this whole process is for the country, when we give these kind of rules, okay, when we have this kind of policy and the policy is executed well, then it is very, very useful for the students and faculty. Coming to faculty, there are many other points. See, faculty's role is to teach, right? Suppose if we have loaded him with all subjects and laboratories, how can he start a startup? right? The faculty who comes up says that I want to start a startup, his academic load should be decreased. 20% of his time can be utilized for his startup. So this way there are many policy points are included which supports the startup and faculty. Even faculty, if they want to take sabbatical, they can take. They can take unpaid leave also, right? For 3 months or for 6 months, if he is focusing on the startup, if he wants that much time to be given to the startup, yes, unpaid leaves, sabbatical leaves, everything. His workload can be decreased, and then he can utilize the facility of the college, he can utilize the facility of the students. So all these things are there for the faculty as well, right? And there is no bar on how much equity faculty should have, because see, general thinking what comes in academic institutions is he's working for the institute and he's doing his company. What institute will get? No, those days are gone. Those days are absolutely gone. We have to open up. We have to see that our students and faculty are going out and then starting their business. Yeah, these are the advantages. If you know the policy, you should go and talk to your IIC saying that this is there in the policy, we should get all these benefits so that we will help the community and the college around.
So as you said, colleges need to provide many things not only to the students but also to faculty. And you also mentioned that faculty and students combinedly do a startup. What college will get, sir? As they are providing a lot of facilities to both faculty and students, what college will get?
That's a good question. Number one is it's responsibility of the college to encourage students and faculty because they're part of college. And what college will get, I'll tell you. So as I was mentioning, there is this equity structure, right? So college is providing the space, college is providing faculty as mentors, and college is providing all their lab facility. And if they want workspace also, college has to provide. To do all these things, there are certain structures. Number one is taking equity from that company and then charging some fees for the space or for the facilities which they are giving. So what policy says again? In the policy, it is mentioned that if college is supporting them with the lab facilities, with the mentors, and then with the workspace, what college can expect from the startup is 2% to 9.5% equity in the company. It's 2% to 9.5% equity can be taken from the startup. And also what policy says is the maximum is 9.5%. No, let's take 9.5%. No. You should see that you are taking very minimum 2.5%, 2.3%, 2.8%, because we are not here to earn money, right? As an institution, we are supporting them. Because our facilities are used, we have to take some equity. So that equity is 2 to 9.5%, but as low as possible you take. That's what the policy says, right? Number two is you can charge. Suppose you are given with some office space with Wi-Fi connectivity and AC, everything based on the startup's product. You can charge monthly fees for the space which they have provided. And it need not be like 5,000, 10,000 and all. It's very minimal, 2,000, 2,500 based on the facility you are giving, right? And it also says, suppose you are expecting some amount from the startup, there is cooling period of 3 months. Suppose a student comes up, sir, I want to start this startup, and your committee has allowed them to start a startup. Next 3 months, don't take anything from the student because he is still starting. He doesn't have money, right? So that 3 months, you should not charge anything from him. After 3 months, again committee has to set, is the startup able to provide that amount or not? If they're not able to do that, give them next 3 months. It is all to support him to start a company. Once he gets successful, once he or she gets successful, then obviously you have a stake in the company, 2% to 9.5%. You can obviously earn that. And whatever you get, it has to be again feeded back to the startup ecosystem, right? That's what college has to expect from students or faculty, right? And it's not only this. If they are using certain facility from the college, suppose if you take 3D printer, it requires that material. So that material charges can be taken from the startup. So only these 2 models or 3 models which college has to expect from the startup, from the student startup or faculty startup.
Sir, is there any place provided for faculty to do all these startups, not only for students, even for the place?
Yes. Usually faculty will have their chambers or cabins. Suppose if faculty wants to have that environment, see, it's all environment. Their cabins are in academic setup. If they want to come out and then sit in that place and then do their startup, yes, startup has to create a space. See, every college has to have IIC, which stands for Institute Innovation Cell, EDC, which stands for Entrepreneurship Development Cell, and then the clubs around this. Now, IIC's responsibility is to have at least 3,000 to 5,000 square foot space exclusively for all these activities. To have this workspace, to do the activities, this space should be created by every college. And in this space, you can provide workspace for the startups. It can be student startup, it can be faculty, it can be combination of student and faculty. They can sit there and work. And whatever activities related to this also has to happen there. Why? Because if you have a certain zone, okay, and that zone is energized with all these things, obviously students also will get interest to go to that zone and then experiment about their ideas. So that zone to be created, and it should be energized in such a way that everybody wants to participate there, right? That kind of ecosystem we need to create.
So what does this IPR is all about?
IPR stands for intellectual property rights. See, even the ideas are very costly. One good idea will change life. These are the statements which we see. We need to protect these ideas. In order to protect these ideas, we have certain types like utility patents, design patents, and then copyrights, trademarks, geographical indicators. There are many varieties. Even for electronics and electrical students, if they want to protect their design, PCB and all, right, semiconductors and all designs, even that designs can be protected. And at the same time, coming to patents, you have good idea and you want to develop a product around that. If you want to save the product, because that's a new novel thing, right? So the patent is defined like this. It should be novel, which means nowhere it is there. Number 2 is it should have industrial application, and it should be serving the society. If it ticks these 3 things, then it is eligible for the patent, right? And it should be done by patent attorneys, because we don't have legal background. We can only write papers, proposals and all. But people who have this legal background, so for example, I am PG Diploma in Intellectual Property Rights from Nalsar University. I have done that study, how to write claims, because suppose if you tell your idea is novel and you publish, tomorrow somebody comes and says that this idea is already there, they can sue you. Suing means they can put up a case on you and they can take monetary things from you. For example, Samsung and Apple case is one good example. Samsung were doing these designs. Your phone designs are there, right? So that design was patented by Apple, but somehow, knowingly or unknowingly, Samsung also has used that design. I'll tell you, I don't have phone with me. So this curved structure is there, right? This was design patented by Apple, which Samsung didn't know. Because Apple phones were coming in this structure, even Samsung wanted to release. Without knowing that they have patented this, they have used. So what Apple did, Apple waited for at least 1 year. They saw that their shares have increased and their profits have increased, and then they sued him. After suing them, some billions of dollars they have paid to Apple because they have copied it. Are you understanding?
Yes.
So, what is IPR? IPR is if you are coming with new design, if you are coming with a novel idea, you need to protect them, because this is high competitive world where you need to create the products and sell the products to have the economy around. So we also need to protect. India was poor in protecting these ideas, right? Now what government told is, parallel to startup ecosystem, we also need to have this IPR structure where you need to protect your IPR. If you protect your ideas, or if you protect your research work, or if you protect your project work, if it is very novel, if the design is very new, you have to protect it so that you can start your company, number 1. If you don't have interest to start a company, you can always technology transfer. This is very, very important thing. Students also should understand, it's not always about starting a company. Few people doesn't have interest to start a company, right? But they have these innovative capabilities. They can come out with innovation. they can always technology transfer. What is this technology transfer is all about? Suppose you have protected this particular design or idea. If some company in market are producing these kind of products, you can go to them, say that this is new. Suppose if you take this mic itself, this is round and then there is a structure to it. Now you come out with some design which increases the capacity of taking the audio and then without noise. If you come out with this idea, you'll go to ROD is one company which is doing it. You'll go to them, you tell them that I have new technology which I have patented. If they like it, then what they can do is they can pay you crores of rupees and take the technology. That is one possibility. Or you can tell, I don't want lump sum amount. I want royalty of 5% on every sale. Suppose if you are selling it for 500 rupees, I want 50 rupees on every piece selling. So till the company is there, every month you will be getting on number of sales are happening. That is called royalty. So these are the two things which are there. Now why this is very important? If you see faculty and students, they do academic research. And all the products which we see outside are from this academic output only. It is for the faculty and students who are coming out with these innovations, they have to protect their IP, which is intellectual property. Through this, you can start a company, or as I told, you can tech transfer to the industries or companies which are outside, which can create wealth around it. So what again policy says in NISP is, if because again here also HEIs plays an important role, educational institutions play an important role. For creating this innovation also, faculty have used the time, right? You are paid salary for the services which you are making, and you are utilizing the you in order to get your innovation, you are utilizing the time of the college, right? And you are utilizing the facilities, you are utilizing the human resource. All these things are there. Now what college gets? Because you asked the question, what college gets if you are supporting all these things? Again, what NISP says is you can have 1% to 4% royalty on the products which are being commercialized, right? Again, the says don't take 4%. Take minimum, again sit with the committee, sit with the innovators, negotiate with them, see that they are getting maximum support. If it is 1% to 4%, try to take 2% or 2.5%. I'm talking about royalty. Suppose the patent converts into startup. If it is a startup, again 2% to 9.5%, which I told will follow. If it's not a startup, if you just want to transfer the technology, 1% to 4%. And the policy also says if it is software product, you can take little higher, or you can take the subscription fees which you are getting from that product. If it is hardware and all, try to take less, right? Because hardware products require so many other things. It requires permissions, it requires certifications, it requires regulations. For that, it costs more for them. So the college is supporting them. College is giving its resources. Yes, college has every right to have the equity or royalty or whatever profits they get, some share of it. But take minimum to support the innovation. That is all about IPR. You can protect your products. You can protect your processes. Like pharmacy, chemical engineering, all these people will have processes. Engineering background will have products. Okay, you can protect your software because computer science people write programs. Copyright comes into that picture. If you are starting a company, you have a logo, you can protect it with trademark. Tirupati Laddu has been patented. Do you know that?
Yes.
Even our Pasupu. So that has been protected. Okay. What is that? Hyderabadi biryani. It's a geographical indicator. Hyderabad is geography, right? Some places, the kanchi chiralu, kanchi saris, right? It's with some place which is geographical indication. Even that can be protected. So this way you can protect your products, services, processes, foods, everything with some indicator. McDonald's is one good example. If you go to McD's, they have patented their cups, they have patented their plates, they have patented their machines. Why? Because this is competitive world. Suppose if I come here, wow, this setup is good, I want to replace this setup. If you are replacing that setup, my market is going to you, right? So if I protect this, if you want to utilize this patent, come and pay me royalty, no? I'll allow, I'll not allow, I'm not saying I'll not allow. I'll allow you, but pay me royalty, because this is my intellectual thing. I have created it and I have to get protected. So the next question is, how many days you will protect? Because if you do it for lifetime, you are monopoly. So what policy says is 20 years a patent can be protected. Up to 20 years, to the day of filing to up to 20 years, you have all the rights to protect. After 20 years, you have to give it to the society. After 20 years, you will not get anything. So 20 years is the exclusive rights for any patent. For trademarks, it is little different. For copyrights, it is little different. But I'm talking about product companies, so I'm telling 20 years, yes, you have that capacity to build. After 20 years, you have to give it to society.
Sir, is there any government role plays in it? Like if an engineering student wanted to do a startup in healthcare, so engineering student need another person having inputs in healthcare. If a dentist student wanted to do something based on some products, they need some engineering kind of students to do all that work. Can these be done?
Yes, as I mentioned, the policy says it's not only if you are starting in college A, which is engineering, only college A student should be part of it. No. You can have college B, which is dental, college C, which is veterinary doctor, college D, which is design institute. All these people also can form as a startup. Everybody can utilize the facilities. That's why what AICTE or Ministry of Education said is every college should have this policy, so that every college knows this ecosystem and everybody will support for this startup. Yes, this is absolutely possible.
So how does the policy encourage collaboration between startups, academics and industry?
Yes. Suppose you are a startup who wants some CNC machines, big CNC machines. CNC machines every institution will have, but industry grade CNC machines are there. Industry grade PCB manufacturing units are there. So you want to scale. See, if you want to do a prototype with whatever college facility or incubation facility is there, that is enough. After prototype, you need to make it a market ready product. In order to make it a market ready product, obviously you need industry grade equipments, industry grade mentoring support. College plays an important role because college is an educational institution. They have lot many partners from industry also. Whatever collaborations college have, that should be accessed by the startups. So this is again NISP says, right? Startup need not to go to industry and have an MOU. If college has MOU, then the startups have access to it. And college has to play its role in creating this ecosystem also. So yes, this is very much needed. Industry, academia and startup collaboration is very much needed. If startup is struggling to get, it is the responsibility of HEI to enable that collaboration, and then they have to support that startup.
Sir, are there any initiatives of benefits offered by the startups under policy of encouragement of innovation and all?
Benefits by government, okay,
given to the startups.
Okay, see, government has pumped around 1,000 crores into the ecosystem, thousands and thousands of crores. It's not 1,000 crores, okay. And recent budget, if you see the interim budget which they have released, 1 lakh crores will go for a startup ecosystem and innovation ecosystem. So as a government, they're pumping funds into the ecosystem. And if we have these policies, yes, obviously it will support. I'll tell a few examples where student startups or faculty startups can get these funds. Number one is Startup India Seed Fund Scheme, okay, where the scheme will give grants as well as investment opportunities to the startups who have ideas and prototypes. Okay, if you take Startup India Seed Fund Scheme itself, any incubator who has that scheme, Vishnu Foundation has it. Okay, any incubator who has that scheme, up to 20 lakhs, startup can ask for grant and the incubator will give. And up to 50 lakhs, startup can ask for debt or any convertible notes or whatever it is. So that can be given to the society. This is very good example. Suppose, sir, we are not in a product stage. We are still in the idea stage. Then there are schemes like Nidhi EIR. Nidhi EIR stands for Entrepreneur in Residence. Suppose if you have an idea and you are in your 4th year, Obviously, in Indian ecosystem, every parent or faculty wants the students to go and take up a job. What this EIR does, they'll pay you 30,000 every month, and they'll ask you to work on your idea. What good facility it is! Nobody knows it. If a student has interest to start a startup, there is a scheme where they'll pay you every month 30,000 of stipend or scholarship, whatever you say, to work on your idea and to start your company. So this students has to know. Suppose you have an idea and you want to build a startup, there is this scheme called Nidhi Prayas, where they give 7 lakhs rupees or up to 7 lakhs or up to 10 lakhs to support your idea stage startups to develop the products. So these kind of funds are available for the students, for the faculty. It's not only faculty. If suppose lab technician wants to start a startup, yes, he's also eligible in this policy. Anybody wants to start a startup, anybody wants to innovate, anybody wants to create jobs, yes, this policy says you have every opportunity to do that. And there are big scheme. There is this scheme called the Biotechnology Ignition Grant, where biotechnology startups are supported. 50 lakhs grant is available. So there are many grants and debt or investment opportunities from government only. Okay, so all these things should be known by the students and faculty to access these funds to develop their startup or innovation. Likewise, there are angels and VCs also. Okay, government is supporting with all these things. There are other funds also. I'm just giving one example. This is how government is supporting, right? Yeah.
Getting paid for an idea up to 30,000 is great, sir.
That's good, no?
Yes. How does the policy support the scaling from startup to ideation? And once the startup is converted into ideation, it needs to be commercialized. How does the government or this policy helps?
This policy, as I told, institution has mentors. Suppose, let us take this group of colleges, Sri Vishnu Educational Society. Where in this campus, if you see, we have engineering college, we have pharmacy, we have dental, we have degree, polytechnic, and there is a school also. Suppose an edutech startup comes who wants to build some product around education. Once they build, our society will give access to the school. Our society will give access to all the colleges. He can go install his product and then test his product. If students are testing and then if there are any glitches, then startup, then and there they can support. So any institution in this India has to support that way. Suppose if a student is coming out with product and he needs testing or he needs to validate his product, college should be the first customer to that startup. That is on the college side and the institution side. Coming to the government, every state government nowadays, they're supporting the startups. Suppose you have a product, it can be a food product, it can be a technology product, it can be product or service product. Government is also taking tenders, they're seeing that if it is homegrown product, a homegrown startup like from Telangana state or Andhra state, if the startup is there, state also will look for the startups who have done, and they will give chance to the startups. Then only they'll go to the other states. So state policy wise also, every state is now very active in supporting startups. Coming to central level, they are also very active. They don't want to give the service to other companies which are from outside the country. They want to see that our Indian startups are getting the tenders, our Indian startups are getting the orders. And even institution level, as I told, if it is an edutech product, if it is a product which is helpful for the education institute, HEI should come forward, pay them, take their product and test it. So that way, yes, policy says HEIs, state level and central level, everybody will support the startup ecosystem.
That's good to listen, sir. Sir, if any student is waiting or else seeking a mentor to help them in their startup, which is then other than academics, as I told that engineering student want to do a startup in healthcare or dental in health, in industry kind of thing. The dental faculty need not be knowing about these technical issues. How does that ecosystem works out?
I'll tell you one example which Vishnu Foundation TBI is doing. Recently, we have raised funds for students. With the help of IIT Hyderabad Build, each team has got 1 lakh rupees. Right? There were few dental students who raised funds. Around 3 or 4 teams have raised 1 lakh rupees each. they have this idea because they are practitioners. They know the problems in the present facility which they are using. They came up with some idea where they can ease the operations of whatever it is. They proposed, they got selected, they got the funds. Now they don't have this engineering skill with them. So what we did is we made this matching thing where we brought in engineering students from our Vishnu Institute of Technology, Sri Vishnu Engineering College for Women, and then we had these interactions with these innovators, and we supplied engineering skill to dental skill, right? So we matched them, and now they are working. So next 1 month we can talk about the results of that combination also. So that way, the policy is very important in that way. That's why it is just erasing all the boundaries and barriers which are there between the colleges, between the departments, between the persons. If we have this kind of combination between a medical institution and engineering institution and degree institution or pharmacy institution, then only the startups can success. So this is all about the success rate 5% to 10%. In order to make it 10% or 15%, all these boundaries should be erased, and we are successfully doing it. If you see, I think from 2014, all these new policies and then funds have come into picture. That time we were, the innovation rank of India was around 81 or 87 out of 137 countries. Now we are standing in 48th position. And the target for India, the aspiration for India is to be in top 25 in next 5 years. So in order to get into that stage, we should all, it's not only government, it's not only private sector, it's up to every individual. Every individual should know about the facilities given. Every individual should take it as a responsibility and grow. So this is what is really happening, and sooner later we are going into top 25. Already we are the third largest ecosystem after USA and China. So it's very positive. We are going ahead in that direction. Government, institutions, industries also understood their role in supporting the startups, student startups and faculty startups. It's up to us to understand, to go forward and achieve those things.
So what are the measures in the place to ensure the industry and diversity of startups beneficiary in this policy?
Okay. See, if you are tying up with some industry, or if you are tying up with any company, there are certain NDAs, okay, non-disclosure agreements have to be made. These things startups doesn't know. That's why in the first also I told, the startups are students, they don't know. They only have the idea. And they have a few academic mentors. So we have to support them legally. Suppose you are going with your idea because you want some manufacturing unit to help you, right? If you go there is every chance that they can copy and they can mass produce. So what we have to enable is we need to have this NDA structure, which is non-disclosure unit, and then certain legal aspects while doing the MOUs between industry and the startup. So these all things should be provided to the startup so that their intellectual property is not lost in the game of this competitive world, right? So all these things are very important. Any college, while they propose their NISP, they should also have their legal team in place and have these all formats ready so that the student or faculty will not face these kind of issues in that. So these things, if you can bring in place and if you enable all these things, then obviously the structure is very good.
So according to you, how does this students and faculty startup combinedly helps a lot to this ecosystem?
Yeah. See, faculty comes with experience. They might not have industry experience, but they have this academic experience because they did their PhD. They have spent so much time on writing research papers. They understand what are the existing things and what kind of proposals we need to make. So faculty has some knowledge. And students, this generation kids, with the help of all this technology around, it can be ChatGPT, it can be Gemini, or it can be anything. With AI emerging like anything, this generation kids get different ideas. Old generation might not get different ideas, but they have their experience. So when experience and new ideas combine, it's always good combination. Experience and young generation with new ideas is always a good a good thing for the country. If faculty and startup, it also depends on the individual. It should be like this. If faculty is also passionate to do that product, if students is also passionate, they should combine and they can start a company. And here faculty has very good advantage here. Faculty can have n number of shares in the company. It is, again, I am faculty, I should get more. No, see, when you are in a startup, if you are a faculty, if you are a student, or if you are anything also, it's all equal rules. A student will have equal right, faculty will have equal right. There is no student and faculty when you are in a startup. You are colleagues. Okay, both the colleagues have equal opportunity, and they can start the startups. Yes, that will be good combination. And best example is IIT Madras. If you go IIT Madras, all these big startups, if you see, faculty student startups, they're all. And we need to bring this culture in every other institution. It should not be restricted to only IITs and bigger institution. Every small institution in tier 2, tier 3 cities also adopt this. See, we can fail. Okay, failures are only learnings, right? So you need to have this combination. And HEIs, like principals, deans, directors, and management of colleges, has to take it seriously and has to encourage this combination. Even faculty startups, I vote for that. They should come out of this academic zone. Then only our economic growth will be there.
True, sir. And coming from a normal middle class family, all over like India is about more rate in middle class family. Every parents are like, once graduation is completed, they need to do a job. But coming to know about these policy given by the government, I think many of the parents will be willing to support their child to do these startups.
Yes. See, Shark Tank India, you are saying,
true,
no?
Sir.
So that has created a very good bubble in the society where I was seeing some news article where parents and students are sitting together and then they're enjoying the show.
Yeah.
So that way, entertainment and media field has done a great job. Because everybody are now talking about startup, equity, valuations and all these things. This is very good sign for the country. These kind of programs should happen in a larger way. Okay, then the awareness comes into picture, and this generation parents, my request to parents is, if any student comes up and says, I want to start, give them some time. If you have money, give them some fund. And you should see that if you are a software engineer, you should see that your friend circle is helping your kid, right? This is very good era for India. Every country in this world is looking at India because of because we are the youngest nation, because we are very good in mathematics and technology, and we are very hardworking workforce. So these are the things which is making whole world to look at us, right? And this is the right opportunity for everybody to encourage this ecosystem. Let them fail fast, and then do it again and again. Parents has to support in all directions. Okay, in terms of time, in terms of money, in terms of ecosystem support, anything, they have to support them. And if you go and sit for the placement, suppose you are part of a startup or you have started your startup, you are chosen prior to others who have 90% or 95%. Nowadays percentages have gone. It's all about skill and your experience. Those days it was like 90%, 80% and all. Nowadays, if you have backlogs also, if you have skill, and if you're a part of a startup companies are looking for people because you have different skills. You are a critical thinker, you are a design thinker, because only you have gone and started. You are a risk taker. Startup is all about taking risk. You have that capability in you. Because you have all these skills, companies want those skills, and that's where entrepreneurs and all come into picture. Yeah, very great opportunity, and parents have to support that.
So as you mentioned that this NISP policy is from 2019, but I got to know about this policy in 2024. Like, how can we create awareness about, even every Indian citizen has to know about this, even from the student, faculty, and even educational institutions. How can we create that awareness in everyone?
That's a great question. See, 2019 to 2024, we lost around 5 to 6 years. Every institution, it's a mandate from AICTE. You should have your policy on your website. Every institution kept the policy. People who are keeping the policy themselves, they don't know. Okay, the higher authorities, they don't know about the policy because they are in their own works, and that's not their interest. That has to become their interest. Okay, if leadership team has that interest of encouraging entrepreneurship and innovation, then everybody will look into it. So people are keeping it on website. No student knows, no faculty knows. So how to bring this awareness? As I told, IIC, EDC, and clubs of innovation and entrepreneurship, it is their responsibility. Suppose if a first year student joins, you should in your orientation programs and all happen, right? One day it should be dedicated for this. You should go and tell these important points, like if you are working on your startup, if you don't have attendance, you have access, you'll get seed from the college, and then you'll get support in terms of registering your company, all this legal support. You should tell them. Unless they don't know, they limit themselves, right? Suppose I have idea but I don't have support. No, why should I start? But if you go and tell these are the opportunities you have, then obviously from first year they'll jump in and do it, right? Even for the faculty, so they might be doing research but they don't know all these things. So to create awareness, it is the responsibilities of institution innovation cells, entrepreneurship development cells, and the student clubs to go to all the faculty and students, to call them, have these sessions on NISP, and then propagate. Number 2 is the podcast which we are doing. Everybody has to do this. Everybody has to speak, right? If you speak, if student speaks about it, if faculty speaks about it, if principal speaks about it, then how the environment will be, right? So this we need to do at a regular basis. It can be shorts, it can be videos, it can be podcasts, it can be seminars around it. It's not that they haven't done. They have done it. But it's not, it isn't reached to them. It is individual HEI's responsibility to create the awareness around it. And coming to how do we sustain, right? It's not only creating awareness, right? You need to execute it, you need to have a plan, and then you have to sustain it. So to do that, that's why what policy says is regularly conduct ideathons, hackathons, so that students come and participate. They have this ideation, they tend to see different ideas. Okay, so these are the one things. And then a few courses on design thinking and innovation entrepreneurship. If it is there in your curriculum, make it compulsory. Make it compulsory. See that your students are doing the credit course. Students, when they will take it seriously, if it is a credit course, right? So make it a credit course. You see that your students are taking design thinking and innovation and entrepreneurship or venture development courses. It should be compulsory. It should be credit course, so that it sustains. In the first year you are giving awareness, and there is a credit course in the second year or third year, and then they are doing a project. If they have startup interest, that project can be shown as a startup. That startup idea can be shown as a project. Even for seminars and all, they can present it. So if this is there from first year to fourth year, the ecosystem is built. You need, in order to sustain, we need to have a credit courses, we need to have these hackathons, ideathons, we need to call successful entrepreneurs in and around, ask them to come to college, talk to the students. You need to call your alumni. Alumni would have started some startups. You need to ask your alumni to come to college and interact with the juniors. That senior junior relationships are always good. He can tell, or she can tell that what kind of difficulties they have faced. And policy also says, suppose you are an alumni and you want to start a startup, HEI's responsibility to support them again. It's not that you have passed out, we cannot support. No, if you are an alumni of this college, alumni also should get support from the institution for their startup. So this is the kind of support which we need to bring from NISP.
Sir, as you mentioned, that student needs to participate in hackathons, ideathons, and also we did that failathon in our college.
Yes.
And we got to know that Vikshit Bharat started by our Modi ji. Even we participated in it. Are there any other kind of things given by the government like hackathons?
Yes, Smart India Hackathon is a very famous hackathon done by Ministry of Education every year. And Smart India Hackathon, recently they did Toykathon, because 80% or 90% of toys we are getting from China. So we have all this woodcraft, Kondapalli Bommalu, and then there are other places where our culture we are famous for that. We are not encouraging them. So government of India is doing Vikshit Bharat is one attempt where they are having 3 or 4 areas where they want to focus our India, right? And Smart India Hackathon is one more very good hackathon. It happens throughout India. The good part about Smart India Hackathon is government organizations will give problem statements. Ministry of Renewable Energies, Ministry of Railways, Ministry of Road Transport, Ministry of Coal, everybody will give the problem statements what they have to the student community. Very good thing, no? What country wants if you are building? Obviously your product has market. So this is what Smart India Hackathon is doing. They give prize money and all, but at the same time they are also supporting students, top 10 or top 15 students to start their company. They are funding them also. So that way government, Ministry of Education, AICT, everybody are supporting these things.
So as you mentioned that HEIs are playing important role in this equity, even they will be getting like equity and shares. What other benefit things that HEIs can get, as HEIs are main important for these startups and economy?
Yeah, HEIs will get other benefits. There are many benefits, one is your college is placed on the top. I'll tell you, there is this innovation ranking, NIRF innovation ranking. In NIRF innovation ranking, what the committee is asking is how many startups are started by your college, how much fund you have utilized for innovation activities, what kind of funds have you raised for your student startups, how many patents have been published, how many patents have been granted, how many patents have been commercialized, and then what is foreign direct investments you have enabled for the startups. So these are the important things in order to get NIRF innovation ranking. If you take NAC, NBA, these are all accreditations for the college. If you have all these accreditations, you are placed on top and your admissions will happen in a greater way. Nowadays, if you don't have NIRF ranking, companies are not coming for the placements, right? So there are many benefits. If you create this ecosystem, your ranking will improve. You get all the accreditations because you are supporting innovation and entrepreneurship. So this is the direct benefit what HEIs will get, because NIRF ranking is very important and placements are very important for the academic institution, and because you are encouraging this innovation and entrepreneurship ecosystem, because you are encouraging design thinking, your students are well ahead than other institutions because they are thinking differently. They have worked on projects which companies want. This is one good advantage which academic institutions will get. All accreditations, you will be in the top. You'll get whatever accreditation you want, you'll get it. So that's why you have to support. Number 2 is, suppose your company has grown well and you have requirements for the students also. You can provide, the student startup which is being encouraged by you will come and give placements to your future students. So this is another possibility, and then you have that proud moment, if suppose Paytm is from your college, you can tell, no, Paytm is from our college, PhonePe is from our college, or whatever it is from our college. That gives very good capability for you, and then encouragement for you to go forward.
So as you said that colleges can get shares and royalty from the startups initiated by students and faculty, but colleges are not companies to get the shares and royalty, but how that structures works out?
Yeah, that's a good question. Colleges are societies, they don't have this company structure with them. That's why what policy says is you need to have a special purpose vehicle, which is a Section 8 company in your institution, so that whatever is related to equities, royalties or membership fees, the special purpose vehicle, which is a Section 8 company, can do this. As it is, colleges cannot hold the equities. As it is, a college cannot take the membership fees. This is very, very important for HEIs to have their Section 8 companies in the colleges.
Sir, how can the policy address potential challenges like brain drain and ensure talented entrepreneurs remain within India?
Yeah, brain drain is the greatest problem for countries like India or any developing nation, because there are no resources and there are no regulatories or compliances around this ecosystem. If you take examples like fintech companies or bitcoins and blockchains and all, as there were no friendly regulations for the startups, few entrepreneurs went outside like Dubai, Singapore, and then US. They went and they started their companies. Government has observed all these things, and then they were very active to bring the policies. I'll tell you one example. Recently, government has announced PLI scheme. PLI scheme stands for production linkage incentives for 14 sectors like clothing and textiles or any manufacturing units. They are giving this incentives to have the production unit, to have the manufacturing unit in the countries. Even for the semiconductors, they have come up with so many other incentives and initiatives. So as a government, they are doing their best to have good regulatories, to have good resources, and to support startups also. How are they supporting startups? If you are a startup, by definition, you are exempted from income tax for 3 years. If you are a human entrepreneur, you are 100% exempted from tax for a certain period. And if you are a technology-based women entrepreneur, if you have intellectual property right with you, whatever amount you have spent is been given back paisa to paisa, right? These kind of schemes, these kind of incentives, and these kind of initiatives are making startups to remain in India. It can be AI startup, it can be finance startup, it can be any blockchain startup or any Bitcoin startup. They are seeing that the regulatories are in place, the resources are in place, and then they're supporting with all these incentives which are very supportive to startup. In the olden days, if you want to start a startup, you need to roam around 10 or 20 offices and you have to wait for 4 months or 6 months. Now within 10 days period, you can start a startup. If you want to close a startup also, it was a hectic job then. Now within 90 days you can close your startup if you are not willing to do that. So these kind of facilities, incentives and resources made Indian entrepreneurs to not to go out, and whoever have started outside, now they are willing to come to India and start their business. If you see Gujarat, this gift city is coming up where if FDIs, to get foreign direct investments to India is a hectic task. Now that also is made easy for the startups. So many things are happening. Leadership team of country is thinking very positive about the startups and the resources for the startups. So it's a great place for startups not to go outside, to be in India, to start for India and start for the Indian community.
So coming to this podcast, I got to know many things about our government is providing to startups and entrepreneurs, and this policy which is got released in 2019, but I got to know in 2024. But I got many insights from this policy and user. I didn't know that there is a policy which allows students, even though the attendance percent is less than 75, to the student can write the exam, and the student and faculty commonly start a startup, and how colleges can take initiative part to do all these things. And I got many insights from this podcast. So what is the one suggestion that you can give for students, faculty or college, and the parents too?
Yeah, my suggestion to students or faculty or parents is to understand the policy, and it's already in the execution phase. For the students, go and explore what all incubators are nearby to your college. Approach them, because every incubator's responsibility is to support student startups or faculty startups. So first thing is, because all the funds, whatever I told, Nidhi Prayas, Nidhi EIR, Mighty funds, whatever funds are there, they all come to the incubation center. So it is always good to have a relationship with the incubators, and the CEOs and managers of those incubators will help you, will allow you to access those funds. Coming to the faculty, yes, faculty is not only for the research. Faculty also can start startups. So faculty can avail these benefits from the incubation centers so that you can also become an entrepreneur. Coming to the colleges also have to know about all these things. First, whenever you are keeping this policy on your website, you should see that your faculty knows about it, your staff knows about it, your student knows about it. It is your responsibility to see that everybody, the stakeholders in the society, has to know about it. So it is your responsibility. When faculty knows about it, when students knows about it, when they are having relationship with the industries and incubation centers, and they can access funds, you see the success rate of startups. You can see more number of innovations comes up and more number of startups comes up. And always tier 1 cities have good startups. Why can't we have startups who are who are profit making in tier 2 and tier 3 cities? Tier 2 and tier 3 cities have more capabilities than tier 1, because they are very near to the problem. Suppose if I am taking agricultural problem, I am very near to the agriculture, because tier 2, tier 3 cities have farmers. Suppose you are working on water management, or if you are working on waste management, so because you are very near to it, you understand the problem, you have to access the funds to do this, right? Recently we have these funds called Parivartan funds from HDFC, where they are supporting all sustainable development goals related startups. So these kind of things are there. How do you know? Because you are not connected to the incubators. You just find out who is the nearest incubator and have connection with them. If you have incubator in your college, see that every week you are going and sitting with the incubator to understand about all these things. You have to access all these facilities.